The world watched as Allied forces withdrew from Afghanistan, a move strongly criticised for its rushed approach. But what about those who remain on the ground, especially women and educators? So what could be done to keep the learning alive? Ticker Talk starts right now. Hello and welcome to Ticker Talks. Together with Polaron Language Services, we are looking to use language to connect communities. And whilst Polaron is the sponsor of today's discussion, all of the views and opinions in the following segment are of course our own. And I would also like to acknowledge that this segment is being held on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and I pay my respect to elders both past, present and future. And I am joined by Director of Polaron Language Services, Eva Hussein. Good to have you back.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Of course, a great topic today, but before we get into that, what's been happening at Polaron this week?
Mike, do you know of Girl Guides Associations? It's an organisation. It's an organisation with many, many years of experience, I guess. A couple of years ago, they were noticing drop-offs in terms of membership or girls joining. So they put a lot of effort into creating more diversity and being more inclusive. We did do a few translations in key languages for them, which you are seeing on the screen. And that was just one step towards including, communities that may not be particularly familiar with the organisation, but it's a great leadership organisation for girls, and that is why we thought we'll feature them today in the translation we did for that particular organisation.
Literally connecting communities. So what about miscommunication? Every week Eva brings me something that she's seen out in the wild where someone may or may not have got it wrong. What have you seen this week?
Mike, we know that you don't have a TikTok account, but are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook.
You're on Facebook. So you would have heard of Meta or Meta as a new...
the rebranding of
the umbrella.
Yes.
So it's created, that name itself created a few issues out there because it means lots of different things in lots of different languages. So for example, in Hebrew, it means death. In Polish, it means going and buying alcohol illegally. So we're just going to have to watch this space because I think if it's successful, I think people will look past the meaning, but because it's a language that comes actually from ancient Greek, it's got lots of different meanings in different languages as well, in Greek as well. So.
Something to consider there, and I believe another company actually owns the name already, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But interesting times ahead. But let's get to our main topic for today, and education is a fundamental human right. But in the past few months, the right to education has been taken away from millions of Afghan girls. The Taliban has stopped female students in Year 7 and above, as well as female high school teachers, from attending school, whilst male peers and colleagues continue to attend. Here in Australia, some grassroots organisations are making sure Afghan girls have access to education, thankfully, and with the support of the help of the Australian people, I should say. We're fortunate enough to be joined by Tamenna Kakar, a marketing and communications advisor and the founder of Teach Afghan Girls, and Robina Ali, a Hazara Afghani refugee. Coming to Australia in 2010, Robina had no formal schooling, didn't understand English, but has since completed her degree at the University of Melbourne and now works for the Department of Chief Minister, Cabinet at the Northern Territory. Welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now,
thank you for having us.
Tamenna, I'll start with you. As the Allied forces were pulling out of Afghanistan, the country was constantly in the media. We saw pictures left, right and centre. And now that attention has turned a bit, what's the current situation for female students and teachers in Afghanistan at the moment?
Well, I think the quietening down that we're referring to is simply and perhaps only in the media space, especially the mainstream media. Inside Afghanistan, as you would know, the situation can become more volatile with each and every single passing day. The current invaders and occupiers inside the country are making the Afghan people live through fear, constant fear and terror, and basically no one is safe. In particular, ethnic and religious minorities, and especially women. So in regard to the females, we have over 4.2 million schoolgirls that are now deprived of education. What hasn't been covered well within the media space, and obviously this is with the PR this time round of the Taliban 2.0 is the fact that university students are all being banned from education. So this would include hundreds and thousands of bright Afghan women now deprived of their fundamental right to education. We have over 40% of the education sector, which would be the females that are now unemployed, and all other fields, as part of this occupiers' strategy to essentially eradicate females from public life and essentially strip them of their dignity and identities.
Tamenna, there was a lot of talk about how this wouldn't happen in the lead up, and there were promises made. Is it safe to say that people's fears have been realised on the ground in Afghanistan?
I think that unfortunately, and this isn't something to be proud of and say I told you so, quite unfortunately for the people inside Afghanistan, there is not necessarily any shock. They've been through this 20 years ago. The world watched, and that's why we had the Allied forces go inside the country, and we were going to liberate them, and we were going to help them. You know, not that we're doing anything. It's supposed to be allowing them to exercise their fundamental rights. So there's no surprises there. And I think the global community now, the only thing that has changed is we outside are able to now acknowledge that perhaps our fears have been realised, that the Taliban 2.0, there is no change. There's just a change in the PR strategy. And perhaps now we're coming to the point where we realise that we need to do our bit as a global community, because we're not falling for the bells and whistles, are we?
Well, having the discussion today, hopefully we'll get the word out there a bit more. But Robina, you came from war-torn Afghanistan, and you've actually managed to achieve a significant amount with your studies. What advice would you have for young women from around the world when it comes to overcoming adversity such as this, and what an incredible journey you've made?
Thank you. I don't think I have done much throughout my journey, but so I came to Australia in my early teens, and my brother came here like 20 years ago as a refugee. So I come from a refugee family, and I do understand that the struggles that girls have to go through in order to seek education. It's very easy in Australia, but if you're talking about the girls all over the world, every place is different, and their challenges are severe, or whatever they have to go through is different as well. So what I would like to say to all the girls throughout the world, whatever they want to do with their life, is to dream big, because it's free. You can do it, and keep going in order to achieve those dreams. Because if you stop and if you just give up, it's not going to work. That's not the solution. So you have to keep going. That is one thing that you have to make sure. And in order to achieve those goals, you'll meet people and difficulties and so many other things. But there's one thing I want to tell you, that nothing is forever. So seek opportunities, seek help from people, and put the effort to get things done. Hard work never goes into waste. It opens more opportunities.
Well, just on that, Tamenna, can you tell us a little bit about, the work you've been doing and with your organisation, Teach Afghan Girls, and the project?
Yeah. Sure. So the Teach Afghan Girls campaign, so basically it's a global citizenship campaign to help Afghan females inside the country continue to exercise their fundamental right to education. So how this started was, I actually had brave girls reach out to me via social media. And so through conversations, I agreed to help them on their learning journey. As a layman. And so this was 11 people to start off with. And then in all transparency, I got to thinking from there, what if I were to have just a few people on board with me, teachers, and perhaps instead of 11, we can help 22 or 33, or perhaps if I've hit the jackpot, 44 girls. And what a blessing. So overnight, this actually became a global movement. So not only did we have wonderful educators reach out, we had professionals, we had organisations reach out, and that's why I say it's a global citizenship campaign. Everyone wants to do their bit. So now what we're doing in the campaign is actually providing a platform with the right and built capabilities where all of these wonderful people around the world can be equipped to actually do their bit and ensure that the girls get education and, you know, in a safe and effective manner. I think it's a testament to, just might I add, to, you know, the wonderful Robinas of the world. So this isn't, you know, her success and all of these females that you have, their successes aren't because they've been given some luxury or entitlement. They're simply, it's just the opportunity to have safety, to have their dignity, and have the same human rights that are afforded to everyone else. And that's the outcome, the beautiful outcome that comes from it.
Absolutely. And we could talk about this in length, and we may actually have to get you back on. We are running out of time, unfortunately, but I do want to thank you both for coming on the program. And again, this is an ongoing discussion and something that we should probably touch back around with, because it, like you said, it has not stopped. So again, thank you both.
Thank you for having me.
Eva, do you want to just summarise for us a bit about that? Because it's a heavy topic.
It is a heavy topic, but what inspirational women. And I'll say just one thing, and that is, if you've got something to do, give it to a woman to get done.
I love that.
Right.
I love that. Guys, if you have any questions about how to reach your multicultural audiences, please get in touch with the team over at Polaron Language Services. The contact details are on the screen, and yes, we'll have to, again, like I said, we'll have to touch base with this one because it's an important topic, and just because the mainstream media is not looking anymore doesn't mean we can't touch base with this topic. So I'm Mike Loder. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Ticket Talks. Eva Hussein from Polaron Language Services, thanks to you as well. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Be well.